first of all, I think probably most people assume that we met at a protest, or trying to pass a bill someplace.
Right.
Actually met you because you were ahead of me in line as a fellow at MIT, welcoming me to MIT. So, just get your brain wrapped around some of this stuff. I want to talk to you about some of the stuff. Everybody here is trying to be a change maker. I mean, most of the people, nobody's coming here because they like the status quo. Your work ethic when it comes to both reading and writing is just phenomenal.
Thank you.
You are one of the most prolific writers, not just one of the best writers from a qualitative point of view, but also from a quantitative point of view. The range that you write, fiction, nonfiction, personal. How did you learn that? And just explain to folks your discipline and your around that. Because you're about to humiliate some people here who think, they're like, it's so hard for me to complete this. I have a writer's block here at Starbucks. It's just so difficult. Can you break it down?
Oh, man. So I started taking writing serious during what turned out to be a 4.5-year stretch in solitary confinement. It was one of the skill sets that I didn't even realize that I had until I was presented with the challenge to figure out how to leave something of meaning to my son. So I started off journaling, and I discovered through the process of journaling that I had never accomplished anything of significance in my life. And so I challenged myself. I said, if you really are sincere about turning your life around, write a book. And then I gave myself a very strict timeline to do it, 30 days. So,
y'all look sad. y'all look real upset.
It actually gets even better.
Oh God. Go ahead, brother.
Well, so the reality is I didn't have a typewriter, I didn't have a word processor, or laptop, or any of those things. In solitary confinement, they give you a real flimsy pen because they don't want you like shanking anybody who try to open the food slot. And so I took the ink pen and I rolled it up in paper. And I had a little bit of experience rolling some things up, so pretty good at it. It's like, right. But that's how I began to write. And so I would write on notepads until I ran out of notepads. And so you can only order so many notepads in solitary, and I would write until I ran out of them, and then I would just write on the back of envelopes and different things like that. And so that's how I began my process as a writer, or taking writing seriously. So I finished the first book in 30 days, sent it to a guy across the hall from me. He got super excited. Well, actually, initially, he didn't even respond. He didn't respond. So I thought he kept my only body of work, and I was panicking. But when he came back, he was like, "This is incredible. One of the best books I've ever read."
Wait. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
But you said you were in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
So how do you get a book to somebody?
So in solitary, we would make what's called fish lines, which we would take the string out of our underwear and unravel it, and then we would connect it to a toothpaste tube, which we had emptied out and stuffed with toilet paper, and you wet the toilet paper, let it dry and get hard, and then you can slide it up and down the tier. You got to be real quick, because if the officers see it, they'll take it. But the interesting thing about this whole philosophy is that was kind of like our internet system back then. That's how we emailed each other, like, "Yo, bro, check your inbox." Send you something down the hall. But it was a way that we communicated. You had to be real skilled at it, right? So, if a guy's way at the other end of the tier, you had to throw your line out, and he has to throw his across it, and then one of y'all had to snatch it real fast, and then that's how you connect them, and then you exchange information. So that's how I got in the book. And when he came to me, he was like, "Man, it's best book I ever read," and I got extremely excited. And then I just had to pause for a minute. I was like, this dude is in solitary confinement. Like anything I would have sent him would have been like awesome. But after that first book, you know, I realized that wasn't enough. I realized it wasn't enough. I realized that it's cool to do something one time, but the mark of greatness is when you can repeat it over and over again. And so I challenged myself to write a second book, which I completed in less than 30 days. Then I went on to start a third book. And in the midst of starting that third book, I fell into a really deep depression. And the depression came as a result of discovering that I had a dream worth living for, and that I was trapped in an environment that wouldn't allow me to give birth to that dream. And when you're in solitary confinement, they don't give you a definitive time of when they're going to let you out. It's part of the psychology behind why so many people have a breakdown, because there's no end in sight until somebody arbitrarily decides, hey, we should let them out one day. And so that's the only time I've ever had an experience which would be relatable to writer's block. But I didn't call it that. I called it what it truly was, which was severe depression.